Good Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Michelle Beck. We begin with major developments in the last few hours and the storm about to cover the state in snow. A winter storm warning is now in effect. The National Weather Service calling overnight travel conditions hazardous and impossible. That's why our weather team has issued a KARE 11 weather impact alert starting today at noon. The worst conditions hitting as you get off from work. We'll check in with the weather team in just a little bit. MnDOT is already out preparing the roads this morning. Their 511 map showing several plows out across the state right now. And before the snow falls, you gotta make sure you have what you need. Audrey Russo is in Minneapolis this morning with what you should check on today.
Good morning. That's right. Even the best prepared car mechanically can still pose some difficulties if you bust a flat or you go into a ditch. Making sure that all your fluids are topped off isn't going to stop you from some of the weather that we're expecting tonight, from running into difficulties with accumulation, slippery roads. So this is when you want to make sure a hardware store is your first stop of the day to make sure you're all stocked up on some of those winter driving essentials. I spoke to an auto repair shop yesterday. They recommended at the bare minimum you get some jumper cables in case your battery dies, and you get a shovel and an ice scraper to make sure that you can have some visibility out of your car and make sure you have something to dig yourself out of if you do go off the road. Now, when it comes to traction control, they recommend kitty litter or sand, something you can put behind your tire to make it easier for your tires to grab and get out of a sticky situation. And then when it comes to other things that you should have in your car, it's important to make sure that you are preparing yourself for the possibility of going off the road. For example, I do have a blanket in our news car right now. If we ever go off the road and we're stuck in a ditch somewhere, you want to make sure that you've got an extra coat, a blanket, gloves, something for you to stay warm while you wait for help to arrive. Back to you.
Now, of course, many people are anxiously watching their flights over the next 24 hours. Right now, MSP is showing more than 20 delays today, but no cancellations. We'll see if that changes when the weather starts to get rough. Tomorrow is supposed to be the busiest pre-Thanksgiving travel day, with 47,000 people expected through TSA. As soon as we learn anything new about travel impacts, we'll of course let you know. More reaction this morning after President Trump's call to end temporary protected status for Somalis living here in Minnesota. That decision directly affects some 400 Somalis in our state who came here to escape civil war in their home country. And this morning, some Democrats are pushing back. At a rally at the Minnesota Capitol yesterday, DFL leaders called the proposed action unlawful and accused the White House of pushing dangerous rhetoric.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive. Somalis have always seen themselves as a fabric of this nation.
Now, on the other side of the aisle, House Majority Whip Republican Representative Tom Emmer praised the decision. Here's a one-on-one exclusive with our Morgan Wolf.
What is your response to their words?
It's fraud. You can call it racist all you want, which is what Ilhan Omar defaults to, but you don't ignore the fraud, Morgan. The idea that you're going to deflect and say, well, this is a political hack, are we just going to ignore it yet again? Are we going to just point at people who want to talk about cold, hard truth and say, well, they just hate us, or this is a political attack? Those days are over. Listen, I have great relationships with the Somali entrepreneurs that are in my district. They're not interested in the games that Ilhan Omar is playing. They're not interested in the political games that this CARE organization is playing with.
Now, you can watch the entire 50-minute interview on our KARE 11 YouTube page and stream right here on KARE 11 Plus. Developing now, a major blow to the Trump administration. A federal judge throwing out the indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. The judge ruling the president's hand-picked attorney for the cases was illegally appointed. NBC's Alice Barr has what's next for the case.
Hi there. This ruling is the culmination of a high-profile legal fight, though it's unlikely to be the end of the story and could have ripple effects on other cases. This morning, the Department of Justice is vowing to appeal a federal judge's ruling, throwing out the criminal charges against two of President Trump's political adversaries, former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James.
We'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal, to hold Letitia James and James Comey accountable.
The judge found that Lindsay Halligan, President Trump's hand-picked interim U.S. attorney in Virginia, was not lawfully appointed because of laws limiting how long top prosecutors can serve without Senate confirmation. Halligan, a former personal attorney to President Trump with no prior experience as a prosecutor, was the only lawyer to sign the Comey and James indictments, so the judge ruled both should be dismissed. Others in the office and Halligan's ousted predecessor found there was not enough evidence to indict. Indictments that came after President Trump pressured Attorney General Pam Bondi on social media to charge Comey and other political opponents.
Comey's a crooked guy, he has been for years.
Comey pleaded not guilty to charges related to lying to Congress and obstructing a congressional investigation. He maintains the charges were political.
The message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies.
James, who previously brought civil fraud charges against President Trump, pleaded not guilty to misleading her bank to get a better mortgage rate. In a statement, she said she remains fearless in the face of what she called baseless charges. The government could seek to bring charges again, though the statute of limitations for Comey may have run out, and he and James have separately alleged they're the targets of selective and vindictive prosecutions. If those motions are successful, the cases would be dismissed and could not be revived. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Meanwhile, 2 new charges are now filed against the man accused of murdering his ex-girlfriend Mariah Samuels. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office says David Wright now faces first-degree premeditated murder and first-degree murder charges with a past pattern of domestic abuse. That's in addition to the original charges filed after Samuels' death in September. According to the original charging documents, Samuels received an order of protection against Wright in late August, just weeks before she was killed. Big changes are coming to a program that several thousand Twin Cities seniors rely on. It helps pay for their gym memberships and helps them stay active. Seniors who use Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicare Advantage plans learned Friday their plans will no longer cover memberships at any YMCA of the North or Lifetime locations. According to the YMCA, it thought it had an agreement with Blue Cross to offer the program next year, but now roughly 7,800 seniors at YMCAs alone will be forced to either switch gyms, switch Medicare plans before open enrollment ends, or pay out of pocket for memberships.
We want to do everything in our power as a nonprofit to make sure that we give them that opportunity. And so we're working on a product that would not be the normal retail rate structure. We would make sure that we're doing what we can for those that are on a fixed income and those who are in this situation that they can at least afford it.
Blue Cross Blue Shield issued a statement about the change, saying it's in response to, quote, high cost pressures related to Medicare coverage. The hits keep coming for the Vikings. After a brutal loss to the Packers, quarterback J.J. McCarthy is in concussion protocol. Head coach Kevin O'Connell saying the team doesn't know when McCarthy suffered the concussion. He said McCarthy reported concussion symptoms on the flight home from Green Bay. O'Connell didn't rule McCarthy out yet for Sunday's game against Seattle, but as the team prepares, they'll have backup options standing by till McCarthy is cleared.
And it's a medical thing first and foremost, and then I do think, then at that point, once, we see where we're at in the week and what it's looked like preparation-wise, then we can make a football decision. But until then, I look at it clearly as a medical decision.
Now, if McCarthy is unable to play Sunday, it would be the 6th game he's missed this season due to injury. This morning, a Roseville area school's bus driver is being hailed a hero after saving a 4-year-old boy from Lake Owasso last Thursday. Mabel Kanye was finishing her route in Shoreview when she saw the young boy running down the street towards the lake. Kanye didn't know the child had been reported missing by his aunt that day. She says she immediately stopped her bus and ran after him.
I get goosebumps just looking at the water. I'm so afraid of water, but that day I was determined to do anything possible to save that kid.
Wow, and once she pulled him out of the water, she called 911. Deputies arriving to find the boy soaking wet and wrapped in towels. They say the child was nonverbal, and Kanye's actions likely prevented a tragedy. They plan to recognize her with a life-saving award. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.